Beyond Life and Death 2 days ago.
Sick. That's
Holy crap.
Season 2 episode, or season 2 last episode.
Season 2 finale.
Yeah.
Wait, but that's not like the first time you've seen it, or have you not seen The Return yet? Because
he's seen it all.
I've seen it. I've seen it all. I've seen it all. So don't worry about spoiling.
Yeah.
Or spoilers. Actually, I'll just preface this whole thing by saying, if you haven't seen Twin Peaks, it's possible that shit will get spoiled for you on this podcast. We are. Yeah.
I just hit the record button, so we just fired it up. So we got that spoiler warning out of the way.
Spoiler warning about Twin Peaks. First off, if you haven't seen it yet, like, what the fuck is the matter?
Shame on you.
This is your best last chance.
More about The Return, though, you know, like a lot of people haven't probably got a chance to watch The Return yet, and you got to get around to that, you know. But to me, that was so monumental.
Still 3 years, man.
Yeah. Okay. It's been a little okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a few years. So when I was in Seattle last fall and I was Airbnb with Cam, I'm like, hey man, you ever heard? You know, I was telling him about Twin Peaks and all this shit, and so he'd never seen any of it. Like, he has no idea what any of it is.
I would put Cam on not having seen fucking anything. Not having listened to anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You would just
the Beatles? Never heard of them.
You just throw out like anything, and I would put him on like, oh no.
No, he's just a meatball that watches a ton of sports, which is fine, but he has no culture. So I'm like, well, let's get this motherfucker some culture. So I show him season 2 finale as the opening. Like, he's any Twin Peaks before. I'm like, I'm going to throw you right in the deep end, dude.
Holy crap. That's a tough one because they're tying together all the through lines that have been set up for episodes and episodes and episodes.
I know. I was giving him some pointers, but I also want him to experience it at its most like visceral weirdness, right? With the Garambosia, like all the stuff that really freaked me out. I wanted him to just, you know.
Oh man,
you did him dirty. Lights. That's not the way to go.
No,
strobe lights on Laura.
You like movies? You like movies that just put on fire, Walk with Me, and like,
man, yeah.
That's not a bad place.
Yeah.
First chronologically, you can always go with season 1, episode 1.
The pilot is excellent.
Yeah,
the pilot holds up, man. It does. We used to rent the pilot on VHS. It was just like a movie. It just holds up like a movie.
Right.
Yeah, because it's double length, isn't it?
Yes. It is. It's like a full length. Sanders, how do you feel about so season 2 gets a lot of criticism, of course, because that's when Lynch stepped away from the project for a while, and you can tell that it kind of slipped from his hands. Like, you look at the credits and it's pretty much a different director and writer per episode. Yeah. How do you feel about that period? You know, the stuff with like James running away and like fixing that woman's car.
I love all that stuff. That's where it gets really kind of kooky and kind of gonzo. And this is what, to me, is Twin Peaks, because it's just, you can't explain why it's weird. It just is, right? And the thing is, they would like fell back on their actors. There's so many good like B-movie actors that got involved in you know, '89 with Lynch when they started the project. They were all people like from the industry that, you know, wanted to work with them. So they're all like so many just off the wall awesome actors and that's why, you know, Twin Peaks is so fun with all the connections you make when you watch stuff. And like when you watch RoboCop and you see like 2 actors from Twin Peaks, you know, that was 2 years before. A lot of these really fun movies, you know, a lot of actors came out of these, and so just let them just be weird and go off and just have these crazy tangents, you know, and actors come and go and characters come and go. It's just so funny to just like not having like not understanding why is this exist, like why is this actor in this character even here now, and what you know, and then they're gone, and you're just like, what was, you know, and it's just like, that to me is hilarious. Like, that's Lynchian.
Some Billy Zane is the pilot.
Yeah, Billy Zane's crazy. I think if you had to throw out Ben Horne's Civil War, if Ben Horne's Civil War never happened, like how depressing would that be? So.
No, that's I think that is a really strong period for that character, because it is it shows his redemption, I guess. Once he fights that battle and plays out this fantasy, he kind of wakes up a new man and resolves to do good, I guess.
I love all the One-Eye Jack stuff. That's all season 2. That was to me. Like when you're like you got Dale and and you got the sheriff. And they're just like on these little adventures and they're going and doing undercover shit and stuff. And it's like that's like the show I want to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that kind of deep, like kind of uncovering that whole web, that whole crime syndicate that was all taking place beneath the surface and is happening concurrent with, the search for Bob and wanting to figure out Laura's murder. Is this, this gambit for the mine, or no, sorry, the mill and Ghostwood Estates and all that shit. Yeah, I figured that's what you would say, Sanders. I figured you would be like, because when I was watching it this time around, it was my second time watching season 2. I thought when I started season 2, like, there's probably like 3 or 4 episodes that I can skip.
Yeah, but bad can be good because it's so bad,
But honestly, I did. I liked it more than I thought I would, man. Where I was like, what? There actually is some value.
You're just more invested in the world. So, like, even if the storylines don't go anywhere, it's a little bit more world building and like deep character building that maybe has a payoff later or like helps, I don't know, inform something else later.
Yeah.
Season 3 had a ton of characters that just came and went, and you just couldn't figure out what was the purpose. It was even with the usage of doppelgangers and even the multiple Dales and everything. It was just like you were always like, what is these? It's just totally crazy like that, where just a couple of characters would just appear and you wouldn't see them again.
Something that helped me. Something that helped me kind of grasp like the tone shift, especially in season 2, was watching season 1. There's this TV show that's always on called Invitation to Love. And sometimes the events of Invitation to Love, which is like this super syrupy soap opera, would mirror the events of what was happening in the show.
Yeah.
Like this guy Chet in the show gets shot, and then Leo or someone like gets shot right after. And I'm like, oh, he's actually saying like this show is supposed to be a soap opera sometimes. Like it doesn't take itself too seriously.
Yeah.
And watching some of these actors' performances from like a very technical level, they are doing these kind of soap moves where they're acting like on the line. Like they're like Leland Palmer does this especially. He's like so good at like he'll have like one specific intention with this one line, and then he'll like make this 90-degree shift to this other thing. I don't know. I think I was like, oh, okay, there actually are supposed to be soap opera moments, and that's fine. Like
Absolutely.
the melodrama, like melodrama as a genre is like applicable here, which is go ahead.
Well, that's part of what made it such a like genre bending series. It had a little bit of mystery, a little bit of sci-fi, a little bit of soap opera, like you said, a little bit of melodrama, a little bit of humor,
A little bit of country.
a little bit of country,
A little bit of rock and roll.
A little bit of runk and roll. Exactly. But that's what's been occupying a decent amount of my quarantine
all
time.
those different genres and such, but it really has its roots in horror films and B movies and exploitation films. Where you have David Lynch coming from, yes, where you have all the actors and Mark Ross, the writer. It's pretty crazy when you go back and see some of the connections again, like in a lot of B movies in the 80s. There's one of my favorites I discovered recently is Silent Night, Deadly Night 3. It's one of my favorite underrated series. But you have Laura Herring, who played in Mulholland Drive, and then you have Ben Horn, the actor who played Ben Horn. He was this old actor. He was in a bunch of old shit. He was in like Bridge Too Far. He was a private in that. And then you had the guy who played Leo. You had all these guys, all 3 in one movie, and this was like a year before Twin Peaks. And just seeing them all together in these different roles, and it's a cool movie too. It's totally off the wall. It's the same. Anytime you see like Grace Zabriskie pop up in anything, right? Like the connections, in Seinfeld when she played like, who is it that like George's fiance that died and her parents, she played their parents. In Seinfeld, she was hilarious, but she's in a bunch of.
Oh, sure, Susan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. She dies from licking all the envelopes to the wedding.
Oh,
Yeah, she's hilarious. She's Seinfeld as Susan's mom, dude. She's so hilarious. And if you go back to these old Roger Corman movies, she's like the lead captain in the Galaxy.
Yes, she's incredible. Yeah,
She's so good. So
so
when you
funny.
go back to like season 2, and some of these actresses are just so awesome. You just always will watch more of these characters no matter what. So they can go off on these crazy things. You just like, I'll watch, like Shelley or any of these characters you want to hang out with as much as you want. So they did a great job of like, yeah, we can just like have a whole season of like bullshit tangents.
yeah. I love how you're able to connect the dots and know like what projects these actors were involved in before they like kind of wells that Lynch was pulling from
Yeah.
at the
And of
time.
course, and the big one be too, Jack Nance from all the David Lynch films, and the guy who
Right.
played Razorhead. I mean, you just want to watch Jack Nance anytime in Twin Peaks. He's hilarious.
He always has of his character, one eye is always like way more open than the
So
other.
good.
Like, how do you do that? How do you walk around with like one bulging eye?
He was a genius. He's so great in like Blue Velvet, and I mean all the films he appeared in. He was funny, man, really good.
I love the idea of like an artistic community. I love it when directors have like people who they love to work with,
Sure.
Scorsese and De Niro, or whoever else, where it's like I know that this person can get the job done. And even on like a smaller level, like, I don't know, players who play together, musicians who make music together. I like it when people get together and form a community because like everybody pushes everybody else up.
Yeah, and just from a creation standpoint, you just get so much like shortcuts doing that, like shorthand, or like I know this guy's process, or I know how he and these guys and I divide up labor in a certain way, or there's just so much more efficiency with that model.
Yeah, like you and I have played a lot of games together, and I feel like we can move through a game very quickly. There's a lot of shorthand. Like there's sometimes not a lot of talking. You know what I mean?
That's not necessary.
It'll just be like blah, 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 you win. Blah, 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 I win.
Yeah, but at no point is any credit ever given to any of the gameplay. It's just like, oh, you drew X and I didn't. I drew Y and you didn't.
Yeah, it's never like, oh yeah, good job. Oh,
Yeah.
well played.
We should probably transition to give something of an opening statement here. This is Pitcast in quarantine edition, live from our various homes spread across Chicago. Matt Moss right here in Logan Square, Carter Petray in southern part of Logan Square, Bob in the heart of the city, and Sanders joining us from the south side for the first time. So shout out to the Colonel.
Yeah, welcome, man.
Yeah,
we've
Welcome aboard.
We've been trying to get him on here for his deep knowledge of the horror and occult influences.
not to mention the Lords of the Pit.
Well, yeah.
It's an old timer.
It should
Shout
be
out to
stated
all
that
the thralls and lords out there, because you guys are holding it down. Fucking badass.
yeah, it should be said that Sanders is certainly an OG and a consummate black mage, as comes as no surprise.
I'm a black belt in shitty black decks.
All right, so I'll tell. I probably told the story, but I'll tell it anyways. And Sanders, you'll remember it from Old School Players Ball this past year, where you had I sideboarded in those hypnotic specters, and you brought in, I think, Spirit Links, and I had two hippies in play, and Sanders had Spirit Linked both of them, but they still deal the damage to him, and then the life gain goes on the stack. So I'm still taking 2 cards per turn, and he's not losing any life, but pretty soon his hand's empty.
Yeah, I think that they broke me on Spirit Link. I haven't used it again.
What? No.
I'm all about Spirit Link.
Because you were playing what, Jizzams and Spirit Link and Singer Vampires, and
I was trying to always, I'd try and jam a couple with like 2 or 3 swords, 3 swords and 2 Spirit Links. I mean,
yeah, and
4 swords and 0 Spirit Links. How about that fucking shit?
well, yeah, I mean, you really want access to those disenchants, and the Spirit Links are kind of the secondary technology there.
I'm totally with you though. It's like if you're playing like a creature based deck, it's like instead of 4 swords, you do 3 swords, 1 Spirit Link. Like what could possibly go wrong, right?
He slaps it on a hippie and loses.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. What goes on is you need to deal with something, and you put a spirit link, and it just gets disenchanted, and that thing just kills you.
Yeah.
That too.
I've been
Yeah.
Because it gives you a target. Like sometimes your opponent just doesn't even have anything to disenchant. You're sitting there with like 3 of them, and you're like, oh, here's a spirit link to burn one of your disenchants on. Thanks a lot.
But think of the upside. If you're playing against like a burn deck, you spirit link that Jusum 1 attack, the game is yours.
I know, man. It's
So-
awfully tempting.
It's a big
Yeah.
swing.
Very tempting with the Jusum. But also 2-for-1s your fucking Jusums all day too.
Yeah.
See, that's spoken like a true Jusum player.
Three,
yeah.
3-for-1.
Whereas-
Never mind. You'll dark red them out and spirit link them, try and go all in. Sword.
Whose fault is that? You overcommitted. Gotta take your licks.
Land, Lotus, net 4 on your next upkeep.
If you can do it, you're gonna do it. You gotta go.
Absolutely. Did you? How did Jisms work for you at Old School Ball last summer?
I didn't. Oh, did I play them last summer? I don't think I did. I played.
I thought you
this-
did. You had black
No.
and white. I thought you had the Jisms in there.
My last Old School Players Bowl deck, I played like 4 Singer Vampires and like a Flyer.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because you had moats.
Yeah, I was trying to play. I played 2 modes and I played some arenas. I was just trying to do some fuckery with, capturing things in the arena with Singer Vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So
I
that
had
for
a-
the first time in Magic history, Sanger Vampire would get a counter? Because I still
I
don't think it's ever
accomplished-
happened.
Well, no, I accomplished my objective. I had an actual play that was really sweet. I was facing down a Serendib and a Sarah Angel, and I had 1 Singer Vampire in play, and it didn't see my arena, just was sitting there in a pile of crap, and it was like, oh, arena, I'll activate that. Took out the Serendib, got the counter, took out the turn or untap. Next one swung in, did the same thing with the Sarah, and just ended up swinging with like a 6/6 Singer Vampire. It's pretty sweet.
That's as good as it gets right there.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
because you don't
Living the
have to.
dream.
You don't have to tap the creature for the arena effect, correct?
No.
It's just, the arena taps, and
Yeah,
then the
you
2
can do
creatures
it.
fight.
Yeah,
So
you do it, you eat the guy, and then you can swing.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. That's really sweet. I wish that's how Tracker worked. I wish Tracker didn't tap. You could just like green and
And fight.
attack and make them fight someone. That'd
Yeah.
be sick. Or put damage on the stack. Damage on the stack with Tracker would be sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tracker's
You could
awesome with,
he will let you double block, basically.
You could block, put damage on, and then fight so that you could kill like a 4 toughness thing. I don't know. But damage on the stack with Triskelion would be really fucked up. I think damage on the stack in Old School with Triskelion would make the card. I think it would make it the best creature.
It's already super good.
It's already really, really good. And
You'd have to
the
restrict.
I
best
don't know.
creature you can cast. Yeah, in Old School.
yeah. I don't know.
Because force of nature being the best creature in a vacuum.
Although, frankly speaking, it doesn't fly, right? So, like as a 4/4, it's already among the biggest ground pounders there are, anyways. Jism, all due respect to Jism, but I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
The problem with them is for your opponent is always that, like, no matter what, if you don't counter it, you're gonna take 3 to the face or lose 3 across on the board. And
Yeah.
so it's just like even dealing with him, you still gonna lose that. Like, you still lose. Just like-
Yeah, it's the only like true 2-for-1 creature.
Yeah, it's like a true lose-lose. It's like always hits the board, even if I deal with him, dude. It's just like still 2-3 to the face.
Yeah, he gets my Black Knight or gets my Order or my Hippie or whatever. Okay, so one of the things that we wanted to get you in here to talk about is we know that you love a deal. So one thing that we wanted to discuss, and maybe this is just base speculation or whatever, but we're in incredible times. A lot of people have lost their jobs. Will the price of Old School cards be affected by everything that's going on? Are Old School cards a luxury item that people won't be buying anymore? Are the prices going to tank and then more people will buy stuff out? What do you think? What's like some, I don't know, like a 101 assessment of the situation?
Man, it's a great time to buy Old School cards. That's for sure. so many people trying to sell, and just like anything, you have way more sellers than you have buyers right now, so price goes down. I think that for like anytime we have these kinds of ups and downs, especially like big downturns, you've seen just like only the highest like power cards kind of retain some like real value. Everything else could just like drop off to like really unprecedented lows. Like we're talking like 2000s. I'm
I
hoping
think
to see like, back to like $70 abysses.
whoa, that's a bold statement. That would be quite a bit of burn off in terms of
I think for an Italian,
prices.
you're already seeing like 200 for really nice Italians.
Wow.
That you did not even think about a few months ago.
Yeah.
People were
Right.
buying them for 600, man. That's an insane amount of money.
I think it's not only is it going to be staples seeing a drop off, but it's everything beyond staples. The other rares of these sets that don't see play as often, those
Yeah.
are really going to tank
Yeah.
really bad. So
Yep.
So your
I think duels
invoke
and power and things like
prejudices
that.
and your
Yeah,
if
exactly.
biffa freets, yeah.
Exactly. That's the first stuff. That's
All
really
the cute stuff that's not really playable. That's the first to go.
the
for
stuff
sure.
that have been just hoarded or speculated on
Yeah.
that don't really have the playability. That stuff's going to get wiped out first, and then staples that are maybe printed at a lower rarity, and then on from there reserve list, and then things like duels. I think duels have held their price so far by a larger margin than some of the other cards, but everything's going to take a hit. Everything's going to go down. People aren't going to be putting money into it like they would be otherwise. It's uncertain times. So I think it's going to be with consistent with any kind of investing at this moment.
I think, to put it in perspective, I mean, it really wasn't that long ago that we were looking at, much completely different kind of price, levels. Like, man, what was it? 2010. I sold a play set of Volcanic Islands for $50 a piece. They were all minty, and it was a good deal at the time. Now you're talking about, okay,
Yep.
a minty $50 Volcanic Island. Is that just? It sounds preposterous, but like, I clearly remember, like this is like the correct value of a Volcanic Island. It's all a matter of perspective, man. It's just like you just can't tell. I think right now I would be buying because it's just you're getting some really nice deals, and we just really don't know.
I know a bunch of people around our, neck of the woods that are trying to pick up some of these play sets or pieces that they felt they missed out on before more recent, price increases. So things like a Juzam or, bazaars or things like that maybe you need 4 of. Price has been out of reach. Now there's sort of at least a reset to previous point in time.
Yeah, it can be like Amazon stock because it crashed with everything else, and we had a good time to buy stuff. But now we're at all-time highs again.
Oh yeah, Amazon.
If you got an opportunity to buy into some like Juzam Gins, man, now might be just perfect. That's what I would.
Amen.
Well,
slap a spirit link on him and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Just for my conscience, I must say Dom is going to hate every moment of this discussion, and just turn off the podcast now, Dom.
Dom's probably got the meat sweats as we speak.
Yeah,
he's
Dom,
in
are you
ground
kidding me?
zero right now.
Dom is sitting in his beautiful apartment eating filet mignon, drinking Amaro, and he's shaking his head about talking about money.
Man, these guys.
He's like these fucking Muppets.
If you stop and think about like what's been driving the value of old school cards, a lot of it is the scene. And the need to actually have specific prints of specific, from specific editions. And so you're going to see obviously certainly a short-term, if not medium or possibly long-term disruption amongst Magic events.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. The
And
events
so
are
you're
screwed.
going to drive down the demand to need some of these cards anyways.
Oh, big time.
But even looking beyond, like, say, the 4 to 6 month term, it's like, if there's a lot of people hurting for, and this gets to what Carter said about luxury item, but like, if people are like hurting for work or hurting for expendable income, or they get to a situation where it's like, well, it's been 6-8 months since I did a Magic event thing, and I've just my interests have changed. Like, I'm into doing this other thing now because I was forced to do it and I got really into it. I don't know. You can pick any leisure activity.
Any indoor hobby you do in your house is, it runs risk of taking over the leisure time you would have spent doing Magic or events and things like that. So yeah, I think we're definitely going to see some erosion in terms of the interest
of the player base and the
player base and the
community.
of the old school scene. I think it's definitely possible because this is a social activity, and the feelings or nostalgia you get from playing on a webcam is just nowhere near what the real experience is like.
Right. It's not tactile. Like in our Lord's events, quote unquote, that we've been doing on webcam, we're doing full proxy legal. And
so what cards do you need for that? That's going to push down prices too.
And the gaming experience is pretty substandard. It's really just a social call. I mean, I enjoy them for the catching up with people, shit talking and all that stuff. The actual gameplay
secondary
is not that great, even at its best. It's just kind of low quality.
I really do agree with that. It's it really doesn't compare to playing in person, which might be like a controversial take. I'm sure there's some people for whom like most of their old school experience is online, and like that's totally valid. But for someone who's had the real thing, I don't know, it's tough.
So I was giving thought to like then like the collector's edition market, right? So the only reason that was pumped up in the first place is because people needed a budget version of cards that they could use in person at these events. And they really have no other utility other than that. So it's like, those are the things that I think could really crater.
Outside of the power and the duels. Yeah, I totally think you're right. That could absolutely go down, multiples of tens of percents.
Tens of percents. It sounds like our listener base going down.
Tens. That's generous.
They're falling by the tens. Now there's just 10.
We went from the dozens to the tens.
Well, I don't know. I would encourage people, like, I mean, you don't have to be in a social scene, to really like keep all your stuff, right? I mean, we're still kind of archivists. I love to keep like a collection that I know I'm going to hand down. Right.
Obviously.
Look at
oh, you're in.
Well, that's where Sanders' player base comes from.
No. I got 3. I got one more on the way. I got 3 kids.
Oh my God! Congratulations!
Start my own scene here.
Yeah. I didn't hear the good news. That's exciting.
Kitchen table until I'm dead, man. I'm gonna be.
That's breaking news.
All right. Well,
congrats on that, dude.
That's great.
That's great news. Yeah. You started him young over there. On the in the south side. That's good.
Sanders just like, man, I'm gonna build my own scene here. 9 months at a time.
That's
how he grinds out his wins, man.
Okay. Well, while we got Sanders face to face to shit talk about, I'll throw out. He would put together these sick brews and post about it in the chat room, but he's like tested against his kids and then bring him to our meetups and get annihilated.
Yeah, when. Put them against the grizzly bear. They don't really.
Magic than me.
He's like, I don't know, man. I've been testing this thing. It's working really good.
Credit where credit's due, though. Sanders has some sick ones.
But you taught me, Dad. Suck.
Well, why don't we segue? Why don't we steer this ship to the eternal chaos?
Oh, yeah. So this
one up,
AKA how Brandon rattled the entire old school community over the course of the week.
And there's some other Sandersian takes on the format too that we might address too.
Yeah, man, I got all the packs. Man, I got a nice collection of packs going. I love the idea. I think it's amazing.
Well,
When we played it, I had so much
explain,
fun.
set it up for us if you would. Explain what it is and how you came up with the idea.
Well, I came up with the idea because I thought that the basic idea of scryings was a little bit. I liked it, but I thought it was just a little bit um, like I think to choose like the cards that you can play with is a little like I don't like the idea that there's like an authority out there or like a council of people and they're gonna hey, let's all decide together. I know we all do that with the restricted lists and such, but to me it was kind of like a troll idea of like what would you do instead then? And then I was just, well, how about any fucking card, like any card, period. If you're gonna just choose that I can have these 13 cards or whatever the fuck it is, and we just fucking say any fucking card ever printed.
Yeah, if you want to spice up old school, right? Is the format looking a little stale? Put any card into it.
Yeah, only you have to open it from a pack. So good luck with those Legends packs.
Yeah, so that doesn't make any sense, right? I mean, well, actually, my first idea is why not just construct a 15 card sideboard from like any card I imagine, like with like a vintage ruling or something, it'd be cool. But then I also got a bunch of packs, I think, from my sister for like my birthday, and I looked at them, I was like, oh, what can I do with these? Two and two came together. There you go.
Yeah, so Eternal Chaos essentially is playing a match of old school Magic, but actually this isn't even necessarily a match. While you're playing against someone, you're cracking booster packs and from any set and adding cards from that booster pack to your deck directly.
The booster pack is your sideboard, right? So you have a perfectly good 60 card deck, but you can strategize from like a certain set or some modern set.
5 colors.
You can buy. Yep. Yeah, 5 colors obviously is what would dominate our format, Eternal Chaos.
Format.
And
but it also depends on what each person opens too. Like one person could open like some insane bombs, like planeswalkers or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
And somebody else could open like absolute horseshit. It's
and
great.
That's why it's fun as fuck because like the opponent, you have no idea what's gonna come. Like you can just the opponent plays the same spell. It's like, what the hell is this? And it's from like a pack of whatever at fucking Walmart.
Yeah.
He has Planeswalker.
Bob, do you remember our match at the airport?
I do remember. Absolutely.
We had an insane match at the airport, and I was playing. The only deck I had put together was the Stasis deck, but I just so happened to open like a Sarah Angel type card. It was like a flyer with Vigilance, so it actually got to go in the deck. And I think I used Lotus to cast it on the first turn.
You did, yeah.
It was an awful card. It was like a 4/3 with flying and vigilance and maybe lifelink 2 or something like that. So it just dies to any lightning bolt. It's so terrible. But I played Stasis the next turn and we had this like super like down to the wire game. I think I cast Regrowth on the Angel too and
yes,
got
you
it
did.
back again. Yeah. It was so dope.
That was really something. It was absolutely putrid.
Well,
it was
awesome. I love Magic, but like I don't have any time for the new game or all these sets. It's like you missed years of sets, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It's like I love it, even though how stupid it is. It's like the second season of Twin Peaks, right?
Warts and all.
That's a good point. That's a good through line.
Yeah.
And so I had built a 5-color deck that was sort of geared towards opening bombs from these random packs. I tried to metagame it. It's 5-color ATOG with Sylvans and all sorts of grid shit. And then Carter rolls me with uncommon Sarah Angel type creature from War of the Spark. And there's nothing I could do.
It made for a truly unique Magic experience. I will say that. It was very, very fun.
It was fun. It was exciting. And
and
there was another one. We played a bunch in the Pescadero trip. I brought a whole bunch of War of the Sparks packs. I opened the 4-mana Jace Planeswalker. Was pretty sick. So I think someone conceded when I cast that one game.
Perfect.
I think if you can
Ends the
just
game on
jam
the spot.
your normal old school deck and you're jamming like a bunch of duels or you got 4 cities at least, it's just something you can
Yeah.
do on the side with your same pile.
Yeah, I just took my deck and I added City of Brass and Felwar Stones to it, and just that was it.
Flower stones, yeah, there you go.
I like the idea of playing it for pretty much a whole evening and transforming what would normally be like a recognizable old school deck into this revolting looking thing
That would be
with
fun.
like, you've got unlimited dual lands and then these awful like flimsy cards from the newer set.
Oh my god, it's
Well,
a
I have
mess.
like a bunch of Fallen Empires boosters, right? And like, but what reason do I have to open them? Like, that's nonsense, So, it's also I had
Just
the,
burn them.
it feels
Firewood.
like old school to me, just to give a reason to just open packs that shouldn't be.
You're gonna try to open a 5th Hymn to Turok.
Okay, maybe not Fallen Empires at all.
That's like a blue spiked shell from Mario Kart. That's like something you give to somebody else. Like when they
Yes.
3-0 you, you say, okay, your next pack is Fallen Empire.
Yeah, good luck with the salad.
Now we're on the first variation of Eternal Chaos.
1.0.
We're gonna
Oh yeah, you
we're gonna
pick the
do
pack for your opponent. That's an interesting twist.
the pack and the shot with the contract below. We'll just jam it all together.
Now I have a question, Brandon. So when you worked with me to make the first promo poster for
Here we
this
go.
format, and you're like, oh, I want a Chaos Orb with these packs squirting out of its mouth, and it just remaining
Squirting.
squirting out. That's what he said. He said squirt. I remember that distinctly. So you said squirt the packs out of the mouth, and at that point,
He's a big
how
rubber
much-
ball.
exactly. And at that point, how much testing had you done in the format? Because I know you announced it, got very excited. How much testing had been done at that point?
No testing. None.
Okay, just
Nothing
clarifying. Okay, and
Yeah.
so for those of you that don't know, the poster was put out there and you put it up on Facebook in the Magic
Well,
group.
I told Bob to make it punk rock. I was like, I want it to be punk rock because this is like.
Oh yeah, because when you look at Bob, you think this dude's a punk.
He knows
Hey,
punk.
I've been
Bob
to hardcore
volunteered.
shows. I've been to punk shows. He was actually on point with that. I know, and I also know the aesthetic. But so there was a extreme reaction on the part of some Christians because a cross was upset. And
Which I thought was weird because I specifically said I want swastikas, not crosses. Fucking crosses, really?
Bob toned it down. Bobby
Bob-
toned it
the
down.
Nazis were very religious, so I get that. So they wouldn't have been upset with the swastika. But okay, and what was your take on the fallout from Poster Country?
Poster Gate was the
Yeah.
Eternal Chaos Gate.
Well, we hadn't even started yet. It wasn't even like a thing. It's very much like the internet.
Yeah, I think it's funny though because like it reminded me of old school Magic when we were kids, right? When the teachers were like mad that it had satanic symbols and shit.
Right.
Right.
And you're that teacher. Like that's awesome. Like you can be still in the spirit with us where we're the kids and you're the fucking mad teacher.
So I guess the people, the Christians that got upset had never seen Unholy Strength before, the original art, or
They were probably on board when 4th edition came out and they took out those evil symbols and they're like, now this game is okay. Okay for me.
What were all the cards that were cut between revised and 4th edition for like censorship, either cut or altered?
changed
I'm
it.
obviously Unholy Strength, but there was a bunch of others.
Demonic Tutor,
They changed
Tutor, Dark Pact,
Demonic Attorney.
Demonic Attorney, Earthbind came out because it was taken out because it was considered risque.
Earthbind was, that's a hot card. That's sexy.
Demonic Hordes, all the good demon stuff.
I like the idea of like it actually is so old school for there always to be like that teacher who tries to get you in trouble for something that you do. I think that's fucking perfect. And sure enough, it would be Sanders who gets in trouble.
Sanders riling up the squares.
Yeah, no surprise there.
It was so harmless too. It's like, come on, there's so much iconography and bullshit and magic, and people aren't upset about that.
I think they were just playing the role, man. It was it's always meant to be. There always has to be the teacher.
They're playing the face and we're playing the heel.
Yeah, definitely.
Little did they know that 4 months later, the whole world order would be upended and we'd all be sequestered and dealing with real problems and not worried about what the fuck somebody put on a poster for a non-format iteration of a dead child's card game from 25 years ago.
Wait, what child died?
Huh?
You said dead child card game.
A dead children's card game.
No, he's talking about the childhood in all of us that has since died.
Yeah, that was.
Well, it's been a long month. It's been a long month.
Yeah.
Sanders, you also famously said that we could unrestrict Wheel of Fortune. Do you still stand by that claim?
Man, Jacob really proved a really nice point to me when he balled me with fucking, like 5-color Winds of Change deck.
Oops. Was that one tested before it was rolled out?
I think that one was specific.
No, it wasn't.
Point.
We did the Chili's. That was the Chili's.
I remember that.
Yeah. I remember playing against that deck a few different times, and it just really drove the point home that like maybe not. I don't know.
Drawing cards is good.
Now the worst part about this whole thing is that you gave Jaco the opportunity to be proven right about something, which is just the absolute worst case scenario.
I think that's the most we can ask, right? Like, well, if you're gonna maintain a restricted list, like, sometimes you just like show us why, I don't know.
Hey, it was a perfect trial run for a Chili's meetup.
Showing up with a deck including cards that are supposed to be restricted, not restricted, is like one of Jaco's things. So, he's always testing the ban list or the revised list by stealing games from you when, like, at the bar.
Yeah,
he's like, oh, by the way, I'm playing with 4 Mind's Desire.
I was just gonna say Mind's Desire.
It's
Mullen
totally
did that
busted.
shit to me a couple months ago.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
that was
like, by the way, there's Windfall in this deck. I was like, what? And then lost the next turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Justification.
But
question authority. Think for yourself.
I don't
if there's a card that's restricted.
Alan's been on trying to defend. Who was he trying to defend against for Mana Drain? Who was trying to say we should test out?
Oh yeah, someone
there was some talk about
Bill was in on that too.
Yeah. I think that one died quick. So don't bother buying extra Mana Drains.
Alan and I were talking about. He was talking to me a lot about the scene with 4 Mana Drain, and he seemed to recall quite vividly what it was like. I thought it was quite interesting.
Yeah, that was another time. I think that was before message boards and Twitter and whatever God else has popped up since then. So all the information is out. This format is way solved, and there's not going to be 4 Mana Drains.
I think the point that was trying to be made is that Mana Drain actually does something different than Counterspell.
No doubt. No doubt, it's better.
It does something different. It does.
Well, the point is that you don't just put Counterspell. I don't think you put Mana Drain in every Counterspell deck. I think was the point that was trying to be made. I will.
No, you gotta give him more credit than that because you gotta get the scene more credit. We want to act like we have it all figured out, but like they also had it figured out. They were playing JMD tomes off their 4 Mana Drains all fucking day long.
No doubt.
And these guys, it's just a different meta. It's just everybody's playing 4 fucking Mana Drains, jamming that shit, and it's just.
Where's this at? Who's playing 4 Mana Drains?
Back in the day in Tennessee, we're talking about Alan.
Gotcha.
We got Alan.
My bad.
Yeah, it was the Wild Wild West back then. When you could just make up the rules worked however you interpreted them.
So Italian Mana Drains are pretty cheap right now. Test them out.
Are they? Okay, well there you go. Don't tell Jaco.
Well, once Chili's reopens, we can
Yeah, exactly.
head back out.
Yeah, the proving ground for all
Are
these.
they still playing 4-man drains in vintage, right? So you can. They're still good. It's still a good buy, right?
You know what? Why don't we just get some mana drains together? We'll meet out in the parking lot of the Chili's to go, and order some food out to the car and
Stay 6 feet away from each other.
jam a game from 6 feet away. You'll have to yell at me about what card you just played or whatever.
Man, it's coming back. Don't worry, Bob. Oh, give me back to
You're gonna open it up. You're gonna open it up, Brandon. You're gonna open it up tomorrow. When should they open up the economy?
Oh boy, here we go.
I think May 1st. They should just put it
May
out.
1st. Okay. Today is April 14th. So
All
that's
right.
a bold
Well, shit.
statement. A bold
That's
statement. All right. Well, thank
excellent.
you, Mr. President. We're gonna get this economy
No,
open.
they won't do that.
Raring to go, Bob.
We're gonna get Carter back to work. We're gonna do it.
That'd be good.
We're gonna
I've already played way too much Oblivion.
Yeah.
I literally dug an old laptop out of my closet that had the game Oblivion on CD-ROM, like install. Because I thought, like, I haven't touched this computer in like a million years. I think I still have that awesome video game on it still. So I dug it out, and sure enough, in the CD-ROM drive was Oblivion, and have proceeded to fire it up and play video games. Like
What's your
teenager.
character? What's your character?
I'm playing like a thief, like a Khajiit, like a cat person, a thief,
Yeah. There you go.
sneaking around and stealing
cat.
stuff.
Why?
Oh God, doesn't get better than that. Anyway,
Moss, what are you playing right now?
Well, I think before you signed in, I was talking with Sanders a little bit about this, but I'm playing Battlefront 2. But I'm not doing like the massive, I'm not like battling 12-year-olds online. I'm doing the story.
that's what Jaco's doing.
That's what I'm doing with Jaco.
Yeah, I'm doing the storyline mode. And then when I'm done with that, I'm going to play Jedi Fallen Order. So I've just got to finish the story. I'm about halfway through the Battlefront 2 arc, and then I'll move on to Jedi Fallen Order. I mean, they don't tie together, but I'm just working my way through. And then when I'm done with that, I want to get the aforementioned Final Fantasy VII that you're working on.
Yes, that's what I'm playing. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Very good. And Brandon, and you're playing Castlevania?
I'm playing like fucking puzzles, man.
Oh yeah, I saw you got some pretty sick puzzles in the mail.
Puzzles. Too high to do anything else.
Okay, fair enough.
The original video game.
How do you
puzzles?
Sanders, how do you keep your cats from tearing up your puzzles, man?
I keep the cats. We have upstairs and downstairs, so all the puzzles are downstairs.
Oh, nice. So you just keep them away. Okay.
Keep them separated.
Yeah, we're able to separate nicely. We have yard, outside, inside, downstairs.
Yeah.
3 floors. So.
Yeah, I wish I had a yard. That would be pretty nice right now.
Yeah, it's been a savior there. It's been a lot of fun, especially with those kids.
Yeah.
But we're about to lose it because we're going to get a hot tub. So we're waiting for all this shit to wrap up so we can get a hot tub and put in. And
Me too, man. Me too. I'm waiting for that hot tub.
Sanders like, I don't give a fuck about a quarantine. I'll just hang out in my palace surrounded by toys and hot tubs. And
Yeah, I'm gonna watch a B movie every night and
I'm going to get a projector out there.
clean some old Star Wars toys off and live the good life.
Hey, we should touch on the. We need to wrap up the quarantine cup thing because that finished in between our last 2 eps.
Yeah, congrats
It's over.
to
The evil
Mish.
MR. The evil MR won the quarantine cup.
Patron saint of ballers,
Yeah,
self-proclaimed.
The evil MR out in
How's the
his
play there? Anybody got any play-by-play for the for that?
Pioneer.
For the quarantine cup?
Oh, well, we don't have any video per se, but all the matches were web stream. It was 4 rounds of old school, and then 4 rounds of middle school. Myth being the only 8-0 player.
Oh yeah.
he needed to lose
some
one
other
match.
scrub.
One match, and I would have won. God damn it!
How did you figure that you would have won on breakers?
Because the only person I lost to was the person with the highest record.
Oh, Myth beat you?
The only person I lost to with Myth, right? So
I didn't
if
know
Myth
that.
loses to like someone like you who went, I don't know, 2-6 or whatever.
Who are you talking to, Bob?
Then then I steal it from him. But big ups to him. He didn't drop a fucking match to take the belt, and so I come in second place, which is.
Well, so what was Myth on?
He played. He actually played two really sweet decks. In old school, he played Titania's Song.
Yeah.
With Armageddon's. And in middle school, he played Rexer, which I think was it might have been the most represented deck in the tournament. There were lots of survival variants that people were playing, because you see survival just slowly start creeping into more and more decks in the format. Now the Madness decks play survival, and the survival decks don't even necessarily play Nightmare. He was playing 4, I think.
It's too good.
Black, green, and red. He had some like kind of land destruction package. It was like a quote unquote fair survival deck with just a bunch of like land destruction loops and stuff like that.
It's good, but it's not bannable yet.
Survival?
Yeah.
I mean, it's easily one of the best 3 cards in the format, but when you unban survival, there's absolutely no question that that's going to be the case.
So go back to old school real quick. So his Titania Song was really that good?
Yeah, I think he played it well, and I think it's fine. He wasn't even playing blue. Actually,
it was only 4 rounds, so.
Yeah, it's a small sample size, but I think it's got legs for sure.
Yeah, it was only 4 rounds, and it was like a pod, so it's not like you're being repaired up as you go. It's just like a random 4 guys out of the field.
It's really cool, though. I really like the card. I mean, it's an awesome card.
Yeah. It's a cool deck. It's just a prison deck. Junk prison, basically.
Bunch of fatties coming at you for a finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's essentially like it comes down as a big fireball. Like your icy manipulators have already tapped down their guys, so you can just swing in for 10 all at once.
Yeah. Okay.
Or more, or whatever. All their Moxen die when you play it, so you can kind of set up the right situation. But yeah, that is the thing with the batch style, that like you're not necessarily playing, by your 4th round, you're not playing somebody with 4 wins. You could be playing somebody with 0 wins, but
whatever.
Still a notable feat. Yeah.
Yeah, 8-0 is still sick. Bob, what were you playing for middle school? Because I liked your deck.
Yeah, it was Yavimaya Fires.
Yeah, it was sick. Tell us about that thing.
Well, it's straight red-green aggro with some mana dorks and mid-range creatures, dealing blow for blows with blastoderms and river boas and flame tongue kavu. And then 4 sapperling bursts.
Yeah.
Which is an explosive card to either go really wide or tall. So people have been trying to tell me that the deck is bad. I very much beg to differ. I have had really good experience with it, and I went 3-1 in middle school and 2-2 in old school for the event.
Yeah, Bob balled me really hard. What was that enchantment you cited in? Sterling Grove? No, I'm mixing my. It was the one that doesn't let me target creatures with removal. So like my swords and shit couldn't be used against his dudes.
2 and a green, and it's foliage or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Foliage.
That was a bomb.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah. Turn off your swords and everything else.
Yeah. I noticed that Myth also, speaking of green enchantments, had the sideboard of his Rexar deck super tilted against blue decks. I think he was playing like 3 to 4 choke and 4 copies of City of Solitude.
Yeah.
Really aggressive amount. So,
4 is amazing. City of Solitude is a super strong card in the right deck, and I think it's fantastic. Turn off all those Force of Wills.
Yep.
Yeah, hopefully he came across a blue deck or two to absolutely take advantage of that. That's a very aggressive sideboard plan.
For the same reason, I'm really loving Riverboa right now, because there's just so many decks that you just have a really quick clock, and if you land a second Riverboa, they there won't be no way to keep up
Yeah, Bo is
all
sick.
those islands. So absolutely, I think attacking blue is a strong play.
Yeah.
I mean, if I were to put a sideboard together, I would be thinking about red decks, and I'd be thinking about, black-green graveyard-based decks for sure. I'd be
Yeah.
thinking about survival and red decks.
You know what? Deed is probably the best card against the Fires deck. It's just something you have to play around it. You have to race it. You have to get them to overcommit to the deed early, and then drop more, threats behind it. So it's funny that there isn't really a good, other than playing around it. There's no card that is better than that can stop a deed. Especially when it gets dropped with plenty of mana behind it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Deed is a hell of a card. Sometimes it can be too slow. Sometimes it cannot do enough. But I think it's the thing that makes the Rock like a 50-50 deck, as they call it. It just gives you game against everything.
Yeah.
Well, big ups to Myth.
Big ups to Myth is right. That was
he
sweet.
he did a great job drawing from the
One of our
secondary library.
One of our Lord Doctors, one of our many out there.
Yeah. Doctor of
He's out in
spreading
the field.
fear and rumors.
Yeah. But to give him credit, he's holed up in out west where things were a little rougher at the beginning of this. So
Shoot.
hope all of hope he and all of our friends out everywhere are staying healthy.
Agreed. Yeah, lovely. That sounds like a nice cap to the night's proceedings. Anything y'all wanted to add in before we sign off for tonight?
Find me on TikTok.
Obviously, Bob's on TikTok.
TikTok star now.
Yeah. Well,
Non-basic land on TikTok.
Smash those mute and unfollow buttons.
Sanders, thanks for joining us. I'm glad we could
dude.
finally get you on here.
Yeah, what a treat. Good to see all you guys.
Yeah.
Back at you. Glad you're doing well in your wonderful cave of toys.
I hope you get that hot tub soon.
In your vault of treasures.
We got to add some video content just to show this.
Show us around the room. Yeah, give us a tour.
Smithsonian.
Oh my goodness! Look at
geez.
this.
All right. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop.
No, don't stop.
And
This is
Star
amazing.
Wars. This
Keep
is
it going.
so dope.
Yeah.
You gotta
Beautiful.
respect a
Thanks,
man
buddy.
that knows what he wants. All right. Peace out, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
I'll talk to you later. Good
All
night,
right.
guys.
Be good. Night.
Thanks again.